Please welcome founder of CommunityNEXT, Jordan Wolfe.
I love the difference in mood from day one. Everyone's running in, smiling. Day three, everyone's walking in hungover, bags in their eyes, sunglasses on, so that's great. So I want to start off by actually sharing a little sketch by Chris Rock that he gave several years ago. A friend of mine did this a few months ago. I thought it was relevant for how the world's changed and what's going on around us. You know the world's crazy when the best rapper is a white guy, the best golfer is a black guy, the tallest guy in the NBA is Chinese. The Swiss hold America's cup. France is accusing the US of being arrogant. Germany doesn't want to go to war. And the three most powerful men in America are named Bush, Dick, and Colin. Need I say more? So I thought that was relevant. So, what's going on? I need some energy. All right. I gotta get my slides going here because it helps me. So, I'm Jordan Wolfe. I'm founder of CommunityNEXT, and I grew up in suburban Detroit. Father's from a working-class Jewish blue-collar background. Mother's from a more well-to-do conservative Catholic family, that quintessential country club environment. So as you can imagine, growing up, I had kind of a meld of these two religions, and didn't have that strong of a Jewish identity. And it was interesting as I grew older and got involved with, being bar mitzvah and going to Jewish camp, and I really solidified my Jewish identity. And I'm going to talk a little bit more how I've been getting involved with community and what I'm all about. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, first I want to talk about we're in deep shit. No, seriously, our country's in deep shit. It's a problem, and it's up to us as the next generation and as young Jews to reverse this trend of what's going on. I'm going to give you a couple examples here. I'm going to skip that one. These are more interesting. 74% of Americans are overweight and obese. 40% of fourth graders in the US are proficient readers. You have to think about this and what's going on here. We are creating a society of unhealthy, illiterate people. So what does that mean for the future of our country, right? So think about innovation, right? Think about companies. If they don't innovate and change with markets, they become completely irrelevant, right? And they go away. We, as a country, are in survival mode. If we do not change the way we do business as a country, we're not going to be relevant. So I want to welcome you all to the revolution, the social revolution, where the next major inventions we're going to see over the next few decades are going to be in and around social change. We heard some amazing stories from Talia at Random Kid and Johnny at Immerman Angels and how they're mobilizing community around amazing causes. But I want to go a little bit deeper into that, right? Those are two examples. And I want to go deeper into a few different trends, right? One is kids today, right? At the age of 6, 7, 8 years old, no matter how obscure their interests are, no matter where they're located in the world, they have the ability to create community because of the internet, right? So what's ingrained in them deeply is this connection to community is going to be a part of their lives going forward, right? That's a huge thing. Second, let's talk about our generation, right? And we do spend a lot of time in Detroit around this. What creates connection to place, right? What makes someone move somewhere? And the studies show over and over again, it's way more than just jobs, right? It's about lifestyle and culture and connections and social connections. We care about community just as much as the generations below us, right? From the food we consume to the real estate developments we live in to the causes we support, connection is a key part of who we are and what we value. Very different than generations above us. And then the last thing, which this kind of came up to me in the forefront a couple months ago, was think about all the virtual worlds that have been created over the last 15 to 20 years, the internet, and obviously Facebook being the anomaly, but the idea was these virtual worlds would translate into advances into our physical world, right? Productivity, helps with manufacturing, create real jobs. And the reality of it is they haven't, right? Those advances have not made it to the physical world if you look at where we are today. So if you think about kind of these three trends, this all leads to kind of what I'm kind of talking about is this social revolution. It's the idea that we're at the very brink of where online and offline communities are colliding to create real disruptive change, and new markets and new industries are going to be popping up that are going to change our society going forward. I'm sure you're all familiar with Coney 2012. I'm not trying to get into the specific issue. The reason why I'm pointing this out is this represents the beginning of it. What they did, they went from campus to campus and built community offline, and then built community online. 82 million YouTube hits on this video. They got the United States government to change policy based on a ground-up grassroots movement. That is going to go down in history as monumental. So I want to talk a little bit about my journey. This was stage one of my career. I was started my career in finance. I worked at an investment bank, then a private equity firm. I remember very succinctly, 22 years old, flying around with Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, raising $100 million for his new venture. I thought I had the world, at my fingertips. And I got a call about 4 years ago from my parents, and I had a family illness that brought me back home to Detroit temporarily. And we all know when we come home, you get back to family and your roots, and it made me really think, what did I want to do with my career, and where did I want to go from here? And it really got me to really dig deep of what, my upbringing, what has really impacted how I look at the world. At 12 years old, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's a survivor. At 13, I nearly lost my sister in a horrible car accident. I remember very vividly getting a phone call. I was at a friend's house sleeping over, that she was okay, but to come see her. I walked into this hospital room, and I couldn't even recognize my sister's face because it was so mangled. At 18, I had 2 cancerous tumors removed from my spine. And most recently, I lost my father to multiple sclerosis that he was fighting for 30 years. So all these things, right, form how you look at life and how you want to approach life and what you want to do. And I made one promise to myself and to my father when he was struggling with the disease, that I was going to create a legacy for him and for me, and I'm going to work on problems and issues way bigger than myself. And there's stage 2. This is my, my second stage of my career. So I am relentlessly focused on community and education. More specifically, though, I want to take the skills and the approach from a professional investing standpoint and take a very for-profit, return-based approach to community building and education. And I'll show you what I mean. So my community building all got started when I met Scott Kaufman of the Jewish Federation of Metro Detroit. About 2 years ago, he came to me and said, Jordan, we're losing young people at an alarming rate. Our community's at a crisis. If we don't reverse this trend, we're going to lose our community in Detroit. And it was very interesting. He said, I don't know what our job is as a federation to do this. But he's like, we just got to figure out how do we reconnect people to this city. And 2 things were interesting to me about this. One, I had an opportunity to work within the system. I had the autonomy to do whatever I wanted to do. But I had this opportunity by being successful to fundamentally change the way a Jewish federation operates in the modern day. I also saw this opportunity that goes way beyond the Jewish community, right? This is about what I saw in any type of community building organization. People were not taking this kind of more sophisticated for-profit approach to how you're building out the organization at scale. So I saw an opportunity to create something that hopefully could influence other organizations. And so this is what we did. We started CommunityNEXT 2 years ago. It was all about creating connection to community. Before we started, we had about 1,000 people under the age of 35 involved in our programs. Within 2 years and a $150,000 budget, we were up to about 4,500 people involved in our programs. We have over 80 people here at TribeFest. We've created a platform to rebuild our community in the city of Detroit. And so how do we do it? And how is this relevant for each and every one of you? So first, we have our core operations, just like any other community building group. We had our kind of social programming, and then we have support the entrepreneurial ecosystem, so small business funding, free office space, that type of stuff. But what was interesting is we have this whole other side of what we created at CommunityNEXT, and we've kind of coined it this social entrepreneurship innovation lab. I know it's a bunch of buzzwords, but what we decided was, how can we be a test lab, invest in our influencers in our community, and spin out other community building organizations? Within the first 2 years, we've already spun out 3 different initiatives Two of them are actual separate organizations. One is a nonprofit focused on diversity in the city of Detroit that are funding social entrepreneurs themselves. And then second is a for-profit sport and social club that has nearly 6 figures in revenue and is profitable already. So you're talking about just changing the game of how we operate. And these organizations are doing the community building for us. We just invested in the right things. And this screen is what I want actually for to hit with each and every one of you. I want each of you to think about your life in these two ways, okay? We all have core operations of what we do, right? We all have to take care of our family, our day-to-day jobs, everyday lives. And then we all should have our own innovation lab. So my question and my call to action for each and every one of you when you leave and you're inspired is you have to take action. Evaluate your life. Evaluate your core operations, the things that you have to take care of, and then think about what you can do. It's really easy. Find something you're interested in, passionate about, and build community around it. It doesn't need to be big. It could be small, natural, organic. Let it grow however that it's going to grow, and take it from there. So the beauty of this, right, and the reason why CommunityNEXT, I believe CommunityNEXT was successful, and why each and every one of you can be successful is because every aspect of the new economy involves community. I gave you a variety of different examples here, but this is the only way CommunityNEXT was successful is because people want it. You have to understand each and every person around you, your age and below you, it's ingrained in their head. It's programmed in their head. They want it. They need it. It's all around us. So currently, in addition to CommunityNEXT, I'm focused on actually our literacy problem. I'm a partner at Evidence-Based Literacy Instruction. We train educators how to teach reading, and we're focused on fundamentally changing the way that we deliver literacy education based upon what the research says. So I'm focused on building a community around that. So I'd like everyone to do one thing for me. Put your hand up like this. A little circle here. Okay? And now put it on your chin. How many people put it on their cheek? So the whole point, right? The whole point of this the whole point is people follow what they see, right? They follow what they see. They don't follow what they hear. So the number one lesson is that you have to lead by example. So I'm going to leave you with this. Create a vision. Organize some people around it. Lead by example, and go hatch your community. Thank you.